Have you been told you need to stop doing what you love, whether it's exercise, running, or a sport? Well, here at Dynamic, we don't like that answer. In this podcast, we'll talk to leaders in the health and wellness space from Southwest Florida to get the solutions you need to get you back to doing what you love. Welcome to the Dynamic Naples Podcast. Hey, what's going on? It's Dr. Chris here from Dynamic. This is the beginning of Season 3. I want to start off a little differently. So today I'm going to talk about functional medicine. This is sort of my new endeavor, a new branch to my business I'm going to add on. I've been starting, I started the program about 3 months ago. I'll be done in another 8 months. It's about a year-long course. So by this October, hopefully I'll be certified in functional medicine, be able to practice that as well. So let me start off with just talking about what got me into it in the first place. So as a physical therapist, we're always trying to get down to the root cause of a problem, not just treat the symptom. If your knee hurts, is it just a knee issue or is it really your hip or your ankle? So we're really trying to find the root cause, which is really, as you'll see, kind of the foundation and the same ethos for functional medicine. So I've been getting great results with a lot of my patients, but sometimes I just feel like there's something missing. And I think functional medicine is going to really bridge that gap for me. So, for example, I had one patient that I have in mind who came to me for back pain. I started treating her, and her back was really stiff. She also had developed kind of an eye issue, like her eyes were inflamed, and she had to get cortisone injections. And I knew enough about something called ankylosing spondylitis, which is an autoimmune condition, which can cause those two things. So I was lucky enough to pick up on that, and then I told her to go get some blood work, which she did, and it came back positive for autoimmune antibodies. That's where I was like, okay, I need to dig deeper into understanding blood work. So I really took a bunch of courses on blood work, understood it better. And I found Chris Kresser's ADAPT program and took his blood work course, which I absolutely loved. And that kind of got me started on the whole functional medicine pathway. So really it was, came to realize what functional medicine is and how it really strives to find the driver behind disease and not just treat symptoms. And therefore I was hooked. So functional medicine definitely uses a lot of blood work. It's very blood work heavy. But there's a lot of gut testing too. So you have some stool tests, breath tests, things that test your sort of gut pathology. And that's also one of the core tenets. It was, I think it was Hippocrates that said all disease starts in the gut. That's definitely the approach from the functional medicine mindset. And then it fixes things by mostly diet and lifestyle changes. Something like 85% of issues you can fix with diet and lifestyle alone. Nutrition is huge for our health. I think we all know that. And the other maybe 15% that don't respond well might have sort of gone too far in their disease progression, may actually need some medicine that's where we refer out. So I'm going to just read some stats here. And this is directly out of the course I'm taking. So this is from Chris Kresser's presentation, but I just think it's necessary to understand how desperate the situation is. So obesity in adults has quadrupled in the past 30 years, and almost 20% of kids between the ages of 6 and 11 are now obese. 600,000 in the U.S. will die of heart attack each year. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men have an autoimmune disease. So autoimmune disease is grossly on the rise. Over half of adults take prescription drugs. 40% of the elderly take more than 5 medications. And I'll tell you, I used to do home health, and one of the first things we had to do is reconcile a drug list. And I'd see people on sometimes 20 to 30 meds per day. 90% of adults take over-the-counter drugs. According to the CDC, autism prevalence is more than doubled since 2000. The number of people diagnosed with depression increases by 20% each year. And things are getting worse. So this is the first generation of kids in modern history will have shorter lifespan than basically their parents. So if this current trend continue, I mean, in 2 decades, 95% of Americans will be overweight and 1 in 3 will have diabetes. This is why I talk about diabetes a lot. So, modern medicine is amazing. I don't want to take anything away from modern medicine. It can do, we're printing organs, they're reattaching limbs, the stuff they're doing is incredible. But it does focus on symptom relief and symptom suppression in a lot of ways. And that's where I think functional medicine can kind of fill a bit of a void and, has the potential to be the future of healthcare. So one of the other tenets of functional medicine is the idea of the exposome. And as the exposome is the root cause driver of disease. So what is the exposome? It is the sum of all non-genetic exposures in an individual's lifetime, starting from the moment they're born, and it encompasses the food we eat, the air we breathe, the social interactions we have, all the lifestyle choices. That's what was called the exposome. So there's sort of internal and external stimuli, and what we expose ourselves to can predispose us to disease and symptoms. So for a while, though, we were thinking genetics held the key to health. The early 2000s, the genetic code was cracked. It was a miracle, but it kind of led to this moment of biologic determinism. And it turns out that's not quite right. It was a little disappointing. The genetics was not as fruitful as we thought it was going to be. It's really the combination of genes plus your environment. And environment is probably way more important. At least this is one of the ideas with functional medicine. So you may have heard this expression, and I totally agree with it, that genes load the gun and the environment pulls the trigger. This is what is known as the epigenome. Okay, so let me circle back to the exposome, because I think it's a very powerful concept. It's kind of an inside-out approach as opposed to the other way around. So to give another example of that, the good old rock in the shoe example works here. So if you have a rock in your shoe and you're getting some foot pain, you could just keep putting more cushion in. That might help temporarily and suppress a little bit of the pain. But clearly the better solution is to remove the rock in the shoe. That's the idea here with the exposome. So if you picture a series of concentric circles, in the very inner circle you've got the exposome. Remember, that's our genes plus our environment. That's the exposome. The next ring of outside the exposome is pathology, and then the next ring is diseases and syndromes, and finally symptoms. Right. So by the time you have symptoms, there's something been going on for a while. Right. So if you have some symptoms, you can take some medicine for it, and that'll suppress it. But the problem is that usually creates another problem, and you have symptoms elsewhere, and you just keep stacking medicine on top of medicine. And you're never really addressing the underlying issue. Whereas functional medicine will look at, okay, he's got GERD, he's got high blood pressure, he's got X, Y, and Z symptoms. What is the underlying issue? Sounds like a blood sugar regulation issue. Let's treat that, and then all the other things go away. So it's kind of, instead of just trimming branches off a tree, it's cutting it out by the root. So that's just a very brief and hopefully somewhat clear overview of what functional medicine is and why I'm drawn to it. And I've also dealt with a little bit of health issues in the past year, which I'll get into more in the upcoming podcast, which is also part of what drove me to functional medicine. So my intention, at least for the beginning part of this season of the podcast, is to go into a little bit, what was going on with me. I got some blood work done, and I've got the results, and I have a treatment plan in place, and I think I got things under control, thank God. But I'm going to go through my blood work kind of section by section and go like a deep dive into all the components. So I'll look at the blood sugar issues. I'll look at thyroid, liver, all the components of the test that I had, and break it down and explain what everything means so it can be clear for you if you get blood work done. All right, so that's all I have for today. Look forward to probably the next section, which is going to be on my blood sugar results, because that's probably the most significant. Why guess when you can test? Do you get hangry or crash after a carb-heavy meal? These could be indicators that there is a dysfunction in your blood glucose regulation. If left unchecked, it can lead to irreversible changes. If you catch it quick enough, you can make diet and lifestyle changes that will get your levels where they need to be. 88% of Americans are pre-diabetic and don't know it. Diabetes underpins many of the pathologies we deal with in this country, such as obesity, high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. For some reason, it is rarely screened with your physician, and if they do test for blood glucose, it's usually with an A1C or a fasting glucose, which can sometimes give you a false negative. NutriSense is a company that supplies continuous glucose monitors. We've paired with NutriSense to get you real-time data to see how your physiology responds to glucose. The NutriSense app lets you track your daily activity to see how food, sleep, exercise, and stress impact your glucose. You can log or import this data into the NutriSense app to see the effect on your blood glucose levels as soon as it happens. Use the code DrChris25 for $25 off your order today. Do you have unexplained pain, or do you wonder just how healthy you are? When was the last time you had your blood tested? Blood chemistry analysis is a great tool to stay ahead of any health conditions, and now you can have control of your health with Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is an incredible company that sends blood tests to your home. You can choose from over 30 different tests, whether that's thyroid function, testosterone, micronutrient, cholesterol, or C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation. It is sent to you with free shipping, and you get your results in 2 to 5 days. No physician referral needed. Use the code DPT25 for 25% off. You can find links in the show notes. Did you know that you can get started with physical therapy without a physician's referral? Physical therapists don't just solve pain, we get down to the root cause and keep it from coming back. We also discuss all things health, such as nutrition and lifestyle changes. If you feel that you could use some help, let's get on a free consult call. Go to www.dynamicnaples.com and sign up for a free call. Also, if you like this podcast, please give us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us spread the message. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.